Hello to my family of light, you wonderful, beautiful, courageous beings for being on the earth at this time of our great upheavals that are going on. So welcome back, or welcome if you're a first time viewer to my channel. I appreciate you showing up in the world today. There is a story, an old story that crossed my mind that I think is really appropriate regardless of age or stage. And now that I have a grandson, I think about some of these things, fairy stories and fairy tales, and these kinds of stories that are passed down through the generations, and that I think now is an appropriate time to revisit some of these things while the earth is trying to go through massive changes, while we as humans are attempting to become aware of us as creators of our lives and the world that we're seeing around us, and how we can maybe shift some of those perceptions for ourselves and create a better home environment, work environment, community environment, and in fact we can even affect the world. So you're way more powerful than you think you are, and you are way more than you think you are. And I will tell you that until the cows come home, or what is it, till pigs can fly. So the story is, and because I have indigenous roots, for some part of me wants to attribute this to whatever my tribe was, and we could not really make that determination because at the time that my grandfather was born, and his mother and his father had gone off to their tribe for him to be born, and tribes didn't typically keep records the way that we know them. But it is near and dear to my heart, and this story I think is compelling on all fronts. So I want to share it with you today. First of all, it is I'm just going to use the Cherokee version, which is what came to me, and it is if you can imagine a grandfather and a grandson having time together around the campfire, and they're probably eating rabbit or maybe even only nettle soup or something, but grandfather and grandson time together is a wonderful, remarkable time, because the elders get to share some of their wisdom and what they've been taught over the years, and those things that are so near and dear to them. So the older Cherokee says to his grandson that there's a battle going on inside people, and this battle is inside of all of us. And the little one says to him, well, what is this battle? And grandfather said, this is a battle between two wolves. And my dear little one, this battle between the wolves is in all of us. One of the wolves is evil and filled with anger, envy, jealousy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego. And the other wolf is good. It is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, faith, harmony, cooperation, joy. The grandson thought about it for a moment and then asked his grandfather, "Grandfather, well, which wolf wins?" And the grandfather looks at his son and he said, "Grandson, the wolf that wins is the one you feed. It's the one you feed." This is really, it completely speaks to my foundational beliefs. I had I'm just going to call it a difficult upbringing, a difficult childhood, although it wasn't without its wonderful moments. And I think all of us have had our struggles and challenges and strife and chaos, beatings, abuses, whatever you want to call it. We've all had some challenges to our lives at some time or another, and maybe off and on through our lives. It is what we do with that time, the choices and decisions that we make. Decisions are founded on logical, linear, rational thinking. A choice can't always be described. A choice is something that you choose simply because you just have something within you that knows that the reaction or response or how you were going to reply to some situation just wasn't in keeping with who you really are. And we know, as if you go any one of my videos and go back and look at, and you can see that I believe you're a soul. You are God's child, inhabiting this carbon-based form, and that the soul is this ethereal, light and airy, wonderful wolf that is your loving kindness, compassionate peacekeeper that is trying to nudge you in that direction. And in doing so, if we can make that choice to follow the signal that we're barely hearing, that when somebody is yelling, they can drown you out. But I will tell you that in my life, I had a job once, and I'll never forget this director, because he gave me some of the best advice when I was in my early 20s, and my son was just a baby, and I was working at a company called, I probably shouldn't say that, but anyhow, I was working in an accounting department. My job was to call and receive production data or information from 5 plants that were outside of the corporate offices, and I was a little clerk, an accounting clerk. I worked for the cost accountant, and every day I would ask this one supervisor in his city, his town where we had a facility, for the numbers. They were always due at a certain time every morning. It never varied. That wasn't you don't get to fudge those numbers. And every day he yelled at me. He just, hollered at me. And one day he happened to be yelling and I had the phone held out, far away from my ear. I think the whole office could hear it, when the the director walked by. And he walked by, he didn't even look, he just walked by, he went into his office, and the supervisor I was speaking to, or that was the guy that was yelling at me, hung up this phone and he just slammed it down. He didn't even answer the question. And a few minutes later, I was called into the director's office, and he said to me, I really want to apologize to you for that happening. He said that is not something that's acceptable to me, and I want you to know that, I'm apologizing, but also the supervisor will apologize, and this will never happen again. And then he said, and then I would like to give you a little piece of advice. He said, When someone is yelling at you, whisper, whisper. He said they can't hear what you're saying and it will calm them down. So just whisper. And you know, I have not always utilized it. It took some practice. You're talking to a fiery Italian here. And but it did take some practice, and every time, you know, I encountered that kind of a situation, even if I didn't remember, I hung up and I said, oh, I remember that now. This is what you do. And you know, once I began doing it, it served very well. In fact, not only did it serve well, but it acted in a way to calm me down, to bring the whole situation back into a more relaxed and harmonious environment, and allowed me to be kind in my responses. So we have two wolves within us. One is attempting to get our attention by jumping up and down. I call it the Chihuahua nipping at your heels. And the other is always there as this peaceful, calm peacekeeper, joyful, you know, pleasant. We're designed that way. We are designed to be the wolf that we feed and let it grow. And as it grows, we change ourselves, we change our environments within our homes, within all of our relationships to neighbors and families and children, our own children. I mean, we can't help but at times get upset and excited. We don't have to stay there, and we do not have to live there. And if you'll look at my most recent video, that is the one in which I said, in any given moment, in any breath, between the breath, there's this pause, and it's the silence. And that's where you're going to find the opportunity to choose to be calm, kind, loving, wise, generous, and not give up hope. Remain in hope and keep your faith. I know that I use some terms that you're a soul having this experience, and we're living in a world in which we have demands placed on us that aren't always easy to meet. But I'm sharing with you that this aspect of ourselves, each of us being a uniquely individual, God given person with their own personality, their own traits, their own challenges to overcome, their own gifts to share, and you have this wonderful power within you, within this wolf that wants to just let the Chihuahua nip at the heels, not get excited, and to allow things to be handled in a more peaceful, calm way. And I promise you, if you will feed the kindness, feed the generosity, feed the love, feed the compassion and joy, that you will be a happier person. You'll be creating a better world, and for you and me, for all of us to be here. And so that's what I want to share with you today. You are a kind and benevolent, powerful being of light, God's light. And I want to thank you for being on the earth with me at this time. If you liked this, give it a thumbs up. Share it with someone that you think might benefit from this message, and subscribe. That's how we grow together and can continue walking this path towards a better planet for you and me. Thank you. I love you this much, all the way around the world. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.